Hey guys, welcome to the Big Talk with Austin, your monthly movie news podcast, sometimes video game news as well. We talk about everything that happened the previous month. And if you're also listening to this on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, welcome. Welcome for being a listener. You can also subscribe to the YouTube channel, The Review Show, for more content, movie reviews, and all that. And you guys, on the YouTube channel, you guys should follow us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts because we are starting to get a little bit more into doing exclusive episodes on there that where we only upload exclusive audio podcast sessions to those platforms. Like for example, starting next month, we'll have an exclusive episode for our top 10 most excited films of next year. And so that was, we already have that pre-recorded. That was a ton of fun. So
I
that's,
agree.
yeah, stuff like that will be on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. So if you want to hear stuff like that, go check those out. It's completely free to follow on there. But yeah, a lot of interesting stuff happened. It is the end of the years as well. So Merry Christmas. I have some Christmas colors going on in the background right there.
Where's your
Um,
Die Hard poster? You're missing the best Christmas
oh
movie
yeah,
ever.
the Die Hard poster, which I is the movie commentary for Christmas that I did with Shauna Rook. You guys should go check that out too. This will be up a little bit early, a little bit more early than usual. But I mean, the last few times I've been uploading late anyway, so makes sense anyways. Just it makes sense not to upload on the actual date that I say that we're supposed to upload. But you know what? We'll go with the flow. And so, yeah. We have like 17 topics to get into, a lot of interesting stuff, and even a topic we'll get into what we think will make $1 billion next year. So we'll get a little bit more into that when we get to that. But yeah, do you want to start us off with this first one?
You know, just to premise, we're not spoiling anything because this is well-known news,
Yeah.
apparently now. However, our first topic is actually pretty interesting. It involves the Marvel universe. Chris Evans is going to be returning to the MCU in Avengers Doomsday. Now, some key things that we want to point out, which I think is really interesting, is they've asked Marvel in what capacity he's going to show up. So obviously we know, spoiler upcoming if you haven't seen the newest Deadpool movie. We know that Evans has come back and reprised his role as Johnny, Human Torch, in that film. However, I was thinking about this, Austin, as I was looking at it, and when you think about like the thought process of like the directors and everything, it kind of makes sense that they would invite him back, having the close knit relationship that they do,
And he needs
right?
money.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Red
I
One
mean,
is a box office
anybody.
failure, so yeah, he needs the money.
I
Um,
mean, I wouldn't be surprised, but
I
so
mean, we
whether
all we
he's
all knew that he was going to come back at some point too. Like even like Robert Downey Jr. before he was even announced as Doctor Doom, we all knew he was going to come back too. He could even show up as Iron Man. Who knows? Still at this.
I well, at this point where you could have numerous actors be numerous characters because of multiversal effects, I mean,
Yeah.
you could have, Steve Rogers return as a different Captain America with, a different, you could
That
even have him play both Human Torch and Captain America.
well, yeah. Well, another thing that this article doesn't has well, I think it mentions it. We don't know what role he is playing. We don't know if he's coming back exactly as Captain America. A lot of people are rumoring he might come back as Hedra, like Captain Hedra or whatever, like where he was like part of Hedra, but as Captain America
See,
in the comics.
here's the thing that I have with that though. I, I'm worried. So there's two different things that I think of, okay?
Hmm.
Um, Everybody who remembers Steve Rogers at the end of Endgame, I mean, there was just finality to his character. He finally got to be with Peggy.
Well, she's
You
also supposed to come back too. Is
That's what I'm saying.
yeah.
There's no the problem that I have with this is that it seems like there's no consequences, even if it's a different character. There's
Yeah.
no consequences. There's no finality, which don't get me wrong, people. We know that this is a part of the comic book. Having multiverse is comic driven. Having all these
Yeah.
characters comic driven, fine. I think the hard part I have for me as watching a movie or a show or something along those lines and having a beloved character come back who's the same person who played the character that we loved. I think it's very difficult for me to wrap my head around. Um, and unfortunately, I think it's going to become more and more present as Marvel tries to kind of live off the old days. Like, oh, all these people loved Endgame and Infinity War and, all the Captain America movies. So let's bring back these beloved characters and beloved actors to basically make more money.
Yeah. Well, the one thing that they can also do, the one thing that they're definitely doing is Secret Wars. And after Secret Wars, the way that I mean, I never really read the comics, but from my understanding, after the events of Secret Wars, that concludes the multiverse saga where it just becomes one universe. And so that's why I'm not really too upset about certain people coming back because I know
Sure.
that's going to be the turn of events, and will be the official last time that we ever see these characters play as these actors play as these characters because of whatever the events that it turns out to be, and so
Until they make prequels.
until they make prequels, yeah,
Yeah.
um,
Or
like
in between sequel,
Mufasa,
prequel,
but yeah, I don't.
sore subject, sore subject.
I mean, yeah, that is a thing that they could do, but at the end of the day, we could get a new Captain America, like after Secret Wars. Who knows? Anthony Mackie might be like all pissed off that Chris Evans is announced before his movie came out,
I I don't
and
think that's the case. Anthony Mackie's got a lot of class, and he's also somebody who
and I think this is the biggest role that he's ever gotten. He was in a movie that came out this year, which wasn't very good. It's almost like a Quiet Place type of film in a way.
oh,
It had an interesting premises, just wasn't very good.
well, and
And
here's the thing is regardless of actor or actress, playing in like a Marvel movie or a Star Wars movie is probably it not from an acting perspective per se. You're not going to win a bunch of awards, but in terms
yeah.
of how many people will know you as that character, I don't think you're going to get larger than that.
Yeah.
Um,
But the unfortunate part is that if you try to go do something else, those people are not going to follow like how it used to be. Because like you would like for example for like Bruce Willis for Die Hard, since Christmas we're talking about Die Hard. People love Die Hard so much, they love Bruce Willis in Die Hard so much that they would go out and watch him in other things.
sure,
That's not the case anymore. Like people are like they're so separate and they are so in their own bubble that they only want to watch what they like and they don't want to expand and try new
sure.
things even though an actor that they like is in something else. And that's unfortunate, and I think that's something that's being lost
So,
in society.
but here's the thing that I think also people need to kind of think about, and I think of somebody like Oscar Isaac,
Yes.
right? He's been in Moon Knight,
Well,
Dune, X-Men, Star Wars, Spider-Man Across the Universe. I mean, talk about somebody who is literally in some of the most
but he's in
uh
the same realm of thing that he is really, really doing. Like he is playing that same similar
see, but here's the
role.
thing. I don't disagree, but I think the thing that I like about that though is that he is expanding boundaries to basically reach I mean every it feels like every sci-fi movie franchise,
Well,
ever.
yeah. If Star Wars didn't screw him over, he would be probably doing more Star Wars stuff.
Yeah.
But
Which
yeah,
stinks because he's great.
yeah,
I think he's a fantastic actor. And actually, I mean, I know we're not talking about Star Wars, but I even think of like the depth and breadth of even some Marvel characters. Like, um, if you think of Star Wars, Daisy Ridley is actually a pretty dang good actress. Same with John
it
Boyega.
was just a terrible
Yeah,
movie.
that's the hard part. And
Yeah.
so I have a hard part with this because they're bringing back they're bringing back a lot of characters from really, really well written Marvel stuff. And I think that's where the disconnect is for me. If
Yeah,
they don't do a good job with this, the last thing I'm going to remember about the
is them
characters that I
and
love for years, it is this movie. And
yeah.
everybody's like, no, we can look past that. And
Yeah,
nobody, it,
you can get away with maybe one bad movie, but
sure.
after they were already when they already exit out, it's like if Deadpool and Wolverine sucked. Kind of the outcome of Logan is kind of diminished, really. Like
Sure.
it's not really, it's not doesn't mean it makes Logan a bad movie, but you kind of but whenever you go back and watch it, you're like, man, there's another movie after this, and then you kind of ruin another character, and so. But
Well, and
Logan is its own universe.
there
And
starts to be resentment though. People start think of it this way. Remember how much people did not like the prequel Star Wars movies and how much hate they gave like Hayden Christensen and even young Anakin Skywalker. And then you go back and look, and people are like, "Those are great movies." La 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 la. People
there's,
automatically start targeting actors and actresses when it
yeah,
has nothing to do with them. I think it's Jake. Is it Jake Lloyd Austin? Is that his name? I
I
always
think
forget his name.
so. I mean, yeah, he was not very good in the movies, to be fair. He was not.
Oh, it's just Jake Lloyd.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, but I mean, but here's the thing: he was a kid. It was a
Yeah,
kid
a
playing a kid.
terrible actor kid.
I mean, not a lot of. There's a lot of kid actors where you're like, meh. And then you have like every once in a while, like you'll have like a Timothy Chalamet who does like a really good kid actor role. Or I remember when I was growing up, Abigail Breslin was a fantastic actress.
Yeah.
Or like Elle Fanning, or yeah. So besides the point, I'm just very wary that we will see a potential fallout. Um, yeah.
Mm.
And it'll be, instead of it being the secret war, it will be a full out war on what happens in these movies because of how bad they could potentially be. So,
Yeah. Um, yeah. I mean, like, what do you who do you think Chris Evans will come back as? Like, what's your theory on that?
see, here's the thing. I don't like to theorize what could potentially happen. Um, what I like to say is, as long as his character is well written, if he kind of has that very bravado um, character, so if he comes back as like the good old Steve Rogers, or if he comes back as kind of the jerky Johnny um, uh, Johnny Storm, I think for me it really doesn't matter. I think
Okay.
that he's going to do a great job regardless. I'm just
Yeah.
worried that the writing's going to be bad. And I know it's the Russo brothers and they're directing, and
I believe I forget the writers. Who are the writers? It's someone that's worked on a previous Marvel film. I forget who. And is it still the Ant-Man and the Wasp guy? No, I think he got fired. I think he left the project.
it's very unfortunate that they I don't know who it is, but I expect that the Russo brothers will do a good job.
Yeah. I mean,
Um,
like every time that they changed like a director, they still had a good director attached to it previously. Like they had John Watts, I believe, attached to it before. I might be wrong about that one. But I know Shang-Chi, the Shang-Chi director was attached to it, which I liked, and I wish that would have if he was still attached to it, but he's not anymore, unfortunately.
let's see who is writing Avengers Secret War.
It should be
Um,
the same guy.
I think it's Michael Waldron. Uh, he wrote the series Loki and writing of Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness.
See, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse Madness was not a terrible movie. I just think that it being PG-13 really hold back its Sam
It
Raimi-ness.
it didn't make Scarlet Witch look scary.
Yeah,
She was creepy.
she was still a good villain. I will say that. She was still a good
Yes.
villain. It's just that I think being
She was more an anti-hero, I think, than
yeah.
villain, because she was pursuing something that was believed to be righteous and was, being deceived.
Yeah.
Um, so but
That doesn't like put me on the edge because I like the Loki series. I like Loki season 1 and 2, and
I
I
do
think
too.
that makes sense actually to have him be part of it to write those movies because that is basically what sets up the whole entire multiverse idea in the MCU. So makes sense. So, yeah, Chris Evans coming back into the MCU. Let us know your guys' thoughts on that. Who do you think he will be playing as? He could simply just come back as Captain America or as old Cap. A lot of people are theorizing as Hydra Cap. He could come back as Johnny Storm. I don't see him coming
What if
back
it was
as
all three?
all three.
Just
Just in then
throw
next they have
everybody in
their
there.
own Spider-Man moment where they pointing at one another
Well, and here's the thing at this point, because obviously, correct me if I'm wrong, but they had to change this movie because of the,
because of the
um,
actor Jonathan Majors. Yeah.
yeah. So
Which I think they were going to change it anyways because no one was really on board on after Ant-Man Quantumania. So,
that
um,
talk about a movie that fell really flat. But I love Paul Rudd. I will forgive you for every bad movie that you're ever in because you're great.
I
So
don't hate Quantumania, but I don't like it as I remember it being. It's not that
I think I fell
great.
asleep. I
Did
think
you?
that's the first movie I've ever fallen asleep in, like Marvel movie wise.
Makes
Um,
sense.
that or I fell asleep in uh what's the one that I feel like came right to Disney Plus because it was horrible.
Black
The
Widow?
Marvel?
Oh, the
No, not.
Marvels. Yeah.
Ooh, that was bad.
And I know somebody who likes the movie. I'm like, I that's your opinion. But
I you know,
yeah,
I never looked at um how did that do on
it did terrible. It's like the lowest
it got a
MCU.
5.5 out of 10 on IMDb. That sounds about actually that seems about
And it made only $200 million worldwide.
oh
Yeah, from
we're sorry.
a sequel from $1 billion film too. Because I actually I don't hate Captain Marvel. I actually do like that first Captain Marvel movie. Um, I think it's just that the reason why that movie gets a lot of hate is because of Brie Larson, and I honestly don't like Brie Larson anymore because the stuff that she says on social media and everywhere in general. And sure, and her acting just honestly has not improved since the first Captain Marvel.
I don't even think it's the acting. I think she plays that type of character fine. I think the writing. I thought they just used Chat GPT and said, "Okay, write us
Yeah,
a movie." It was bad. Oof.
even the director was a bot. It's like, here, act like a human, Brie, and
Which is
Brie's
weird
like,
because I did like Captain Marvel quite a
yeah.
bit. I did.
It does have its bad moments, but it's not a terrible movie that people make it out to be. And so,
Yeah.
but yeah, let us know your guys' thoughts in the comment section below. Moving on to more Marvel topics. Beyond the Spider-Verse finds its directors. What the hell's going on with this movie? This movie was supposed to come out this year, and you're telling me now that we're only finding out our directors?
See, I don't know. Obviously, we don't know what's happening behind the scenes. Something
Something
you
went
saw.
wrong before even the writer strikes. Something went wrong before this with this movie. And I
I think it
believe
has
that
to
wasn't
do.
there controversy behind the scenes with Across the Spider-Verse, like with the animation team? Was there like people being overworked and underpaid or something like that?
I feel like that's like every animation movie
Well,
on the
that
planet.
yeah, and
Yeah.
like big in video games too. But I believe I remember hearing a story about that. And that was being like a big deal. Maybe that's part of the reason why that we're not getting this movie, but then why would you release a date with the movie.
I
So,
see. I think guesstimate everybody. I'm not an investigative journalist or
yeah,
working at
yeah,
Sony or any of these
yes, we
places.
are.
Of course we are.
Yeah,
You saw like the whole Sony thing, how they want to sell Spider-Man back to. Uh,
that's fake. Don't listen to that. That's fake. We'll get into a topic next about that, but don't bother
yes,
listen to that.
but I'm saying what I'm trying to say is there's been a lot of misinformation and weird
Yeah,
things going on about Spider-Man. So I wouldn't be surprised if the dysfunction could potentially have played into how this has happened. The other thing too is I think when you
but
have
this was an official release date though. It was supposed to come out this March, this previous
see,
March.
but also remember the first one took how many years to make? I think you're arguably yeah, I could not speak. My goodness, you are arguably looking at probably two of the best animation films ever. in
And the
my
best
opinion.
Spider-Man and the best Spider-Man movies. And people are
I,
like, Sony should sell the Spider-Man rights. I'm like, Sony owns the best Spider-Man movies. They're the reason why we have the best Spider-Man movies. Why in the hell would they sell them back? Especially with the deal with that they have with right now with Marvel with Disney. That is the best deal that they will ever get, where they all they gotta do is just distribute Tom Holland's films. That's all they gotta do is
yeah,
distribute them, and they make billions of dollars off their box office. And so.
and that's where I think I'm okay with them having a little dysfunction on this film if if pushing back the date to release a better masterpiece,
Yeah.
I mean, all they have to do is get this movie to be like an 8.5 out of 10, and this will probably arguably be one of the
The best
best
trilogy.
trilogies
Yeah.
of it. And I would even argue of like film in general, even though it's animation.
This
Now,
would probably put out Toy Story's trilogy, like being like the best trilogy as
well,
well.
technically, it's Toy Story is more than a trilogy, but yeah,
It is now. Yeah.
yeah.
But like, Toy Story was like the eye point of like, oh, this is like the best like animation trilogy that we ever had. And so, and
Okay.
like, I mean, like if it comes out to be great, that's fine. I have no problem waiting. But this does get me a little bit worried about like we're supposed to have a movie
Yeah.
like 8 months ago. We're we're only now finding out the directors, and also that this is mentioned. I believe it's mentioned in this article, or I remember reading it somewhere else that the actors have not filmed any lines. Well, that explains well, that mostly explains because they don't have a director, so they can't really film any lines. But
Well, it's very dysfunctional, and I would normally be worried, but because of the quality of the first two, I'm not.
is it still the same writers that wrote the third one? Is it still the same writers?
I have no idea. Genuinely, I really don't. But I mean, you would have to be so stupid to get rid of people
That
from the first two movies.
that gave you nominations,
Yeah,
Oscar
well,
nominations. Didn't it win Best Picture, Best
uh,
Animation, like
didn't
the
it
first one?
win? Didn't Sunflower win the best musical theme track or something?
I think so. I think that did win. So, the first Spider-Man first movie did win a couple awards. I'm curious if it won Best Animation. I
Let's
don't.
see. I'm looking right now. I got you. I got you.
Yeah.
So it won. It was a la, 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 oh Academy Award winner, Best Animated Feature Film, 2019.
Yeah. So
So
I don't know why you would get rid of them, but if
and it
you're
won the
having,
Golden Globe,
oh, no one cares.
2019 for
No one
Best
cares
Motion
about Globe
Picture
and Golds.
Animated. It's still that's still a big.
It's still a
Uh,
big thing, but the
yeah.
Golden Globes are a joke comparable to the Oscars. I mean, the
I
Oscars
mean,
are falling hard now
I
too,
mean, winning anything is pretty impressive, especially for. I'm just calling it now.
besides the Game Awards.
I genuinely think
Bye.
Oh my goodness. I genuinely think that this animated trilogy will be the Lord of the Rings of animation. Genuinely.
Yeah,
I think I mean I go back and watch Lord of the Rings films, not all the time, but pretty frequently.
those are long ass movies.
Okay, but they're so freaking good. Who cares? They're
Frodo's
so good.
annoying.
They're so
Frodo, Sam, shut up.
Oh my gosh. Of course you would hate Frodo, Sam, Pippin, and Merry, but um mark my words, this will be one of the best. We get the pleasure to be alive during three of arguably the best animation films of all time.
Yeah. And I got to see them all on release date and review them. So
See, yeah, and I
that's
got to see them on release date too. Oh, so good. They're the colors and um, just so good. They're
yeah.
just so good. So, and
I
then Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, we're getting Nicolas Cage that TV show too, and that's coming out next year, right?
Um,
I think it
oh
is.
goodness, let me see.
If that's coming out next year, that might give us a little bit more like, Spider-Man verse type of content in a way to keep the hype going. Because I guarantee the hype's gonna die down a little bit because it's now been almost a year without the the final part. So
Let's see, Spider Noir. Da, 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 da.
Because I think they finished filming.
Production. Yeah, I thought they did. Scheduled to last. No, filming is scheduled to last until February of 2025. And it's going to
November.
be on MGM
It's a
Plus.
year of filming.
August 2024 to February 2025.
Oh wow.
And it'll consist of 8 episodes.
They're taking that long to film 8 episodes. How long are those episodes?
I don't know, it doesn't say.
Those are must be
Uh,
in-depth episodes. Interesting.
and it would be developed by Sony Pictures. Man, if Sony hits this, they're just gonna further,
Yeah, there's no reason for them to sell the rights. It just doesn't make any sense. I don't get that logic of thinking for people. And like I'm in a group chat where someone sent me well not they sent this into the group chat that headline. I'm like, don't listen to that. No, it's dumb,
believe
stupid.
it.
Don't
Believe
believe
it.
it. No, shut. We don't talk about fake news around here. Um, but yeah, so let us know your guys. Well, I mean, we didn't even mention the directors' names. What are the directors' names of the third film now?
Oh,
Um,
I, we got so excited to talk about the other stuff, everybody. We're so sorry.
yeah,
It's 1 second. It's Justin K. Thompson and Bob Pierce I think is how you say his last name. And I did some like little background into both of them. As you kind of look to see what they've been or like what projects they've been a part of.
yeah.
Um, some key ones, just so everybody knows, because who doesn't love to know information? So, so I think it's Pierce is how you say it. And he's been a part of The Little Prince. Fantastic, fantastic. Puss in Boots, Spider-Man, Puss in Boots: The Last Wish.
I do like that movie, so that
Oh,
makes sense.
so as you can see, some pretty high top notch. And then Justin K. Thompson, some of the background, he's been a part of the Spider-Man movies. So it looks like
Okay.
they tapped both of them for their intrinsic knowledge. Um, and it looks like also he was known for a production designer of Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs 2 and Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs.
Uh, the first one is fine. The second one is
Yeah, it's
ter
okay. Yeah.
is
But he's a production designer, so
okay.
yeah.
That should be fine. I mean, those are beautiful movies. I'll say that. Those are very
Mhm.
beautiful movies.
They're very
Uh,
visually pleasing. So,
and that's the
mhm.
one thing about the Spider-Verse movies that they're very pretty and very well done from production wise. But yeah, so let us know your guys' thoughts on that. Does this get you guys a little bit worried? We're probably not going to get the film until like 2027, which is
We're not going to talk about that. Let's
that's
not depress people. We can't
four
depress them.
years. I mean, technically, if you really think about it, we got the first one in 2018, and so we got wave 5 years. So it kind of makes sense in a
I
way
think it
where
was what 1822, and
20
then
20 with 23 and next 27. So yeah, I mean
perfection doesn't get built overnight, everybody.
it.
Keep that in mind.
I think that it will probably still. I think that I guarantee it will still probably make more than Cross the Spider-Verse because the hype will be building up for years for it. So, but yeah, let us know your guys' thoughts in the comment section below. Moving on to topic number three.
Oh
Sony-Verse movies
gosh.
are done for now. Gotta make that very clear. Are done for now. People are like, yes, we won. We got them canceled. No, no, guys.
Uh,
If you actually read the article and actually read the letters that Variety is saying, they're just taking a simple break, mostly because they got the way that the Sony the way that the Sony contract with the Spider-Man rights works is that they have to release a movie every 2 years to keep the Spider-Man rights, or if they don't, it would go back to Marvel, which is Disney. Um, so for one, I I don't know if the Noir show counts. I don't think it does. It could count to their way of releasing a Spider-Man thing. Um, but
I
but
can't
in
wait.
2026, they have the Tom Holland movie coming out. Like 2026, Tom Holland Spider-Man 4 comes out. So they don't need to release any Spider-Verse movies next year. They don't need to because they have that to come out, and that will make them enough money to earn any form of value back for one. Um, and so and we talked a little bit about this is that Sony's burning money. If you really look, each Sony-Verse movie, beside throwing aside the Spider-Verse movies, like just when it just comes to the villain movies, um, the only profitable ones are the Venom movies. Those are the only three out of the six spin-off films are that are very profitable. The other ones, if you combine all the box office's revenue, they make well over $700 million. That's after giving the money to theaters and all that. After you think of all the extra stuff, so they make well over $700 million at the box office, and that goes back in their bank account. So Sony is doing fine with these Sony-verse movies, even though they're not very good. And so um, there's no reason for Sony to give up this Spider-Man rights. There's just simply no reason. And it's the biggest thing that they have. What else does Sony have? Men in Black? Yeah, how was that previous Men in
I
Black movie?
We don't talk about that either.
Well,
Don't ruin it.
they have Bad Boys, but that's not really a money maker franchise. Um,
They just need to keep making Into the Spider-Verse movies, and if they're as good as they're supposed to be,
and they need to make a sequel to Morbius and Madam Web. Um, they could still do their Sinister Six movies. And one thing about this article, apparently, the one thing I always saw, but it was this Variety art exclusive article. Is the reason why I picked this one because they had an exclusive quote. I don't know if I could find it. But they said this is the way that I always thought the contract worked, that they could never do live action Spider-Man. Like they could never do like a Spider-Man like outside of Tom Holland because of the deal between Marvel. Apparently
sure.
that's not the case. Unless this is just being misunderstood around because this is not Variety getting a direct source from Sony. Like this is just what they're hearing from employees around Sony. So it's not very clear on if that's how the actual deal works, if like they were actually allowed to do other live action Spider-Man without Tom Holland. Because it's not like a exec producer saying like, yeah, we've been allowed to actually do like bring back like say Andrew Garfield in these Spider-Man side movies, but we decided not to. I guarantee there's some little mishearing going around with the employees. I think because for years this has always been the case where like they have their deal with Marvel and they cannot make any other outside Spider-Man movies besides the animations because those are two separate things. And
Sure.
so and you also include the video game, which is PlayStation, Sony. So like I think that take a grain of salt with what this guy says. I'm trying to find the exact quote. Um
Well, and here's the thing. Here's the thing that's fascinating to me, and correct me if I'm wrong. I mean,
I found it. I'll read it after you finish.
you look at Craven, you look at Morbius, which, by the way, remember when they were like, "Yeah, bring it back to theaters," and then it re-released and
Yeah.
did horrible.
They should do the same thing with Craven. Watch Craven
No,
make more on its
they should do it.
second
They should do it with
release.
Madam Web. You know what they should do? They should have a
They should
movie
have a
marathon.
marathon. Yes.
Yes,
They
and just put Morbius with Madam Web and Craven back to
No,
back
like
to
they should
back.
just do all the Venom movies, Craven, Madam Web, and Morbius. People will go to that. I think people would actually go to that for just the
Oh,
laugh.
I think so too. And here's the thing: is that Sony knows what they're doing, right?
Yeah.
Sony is very knowledgeable. I mean, lean into it. If you made a crap movie and everybody hates it, like go have
That's what
like
they did with Morbius. That's the one thing
Yeah,
positive about
have
Morbius.
to have Dakota Johnson come show up at movie theaters across the country.
You're gonna have to pay her a lot of money since her agent tricked her into that movie. But you know what? Yeah.
Oh, it's so
Um,
funny. So good. I mean, that would be so excellent. I would love it. I mean, don't hate the player, but
hate the game. But
yeah,
yeah,
that
so
was so funny.
I got the quote here for the Sony for like the Sony and Disney deal. According to one Sony source, the deal with Disney never precued Precluded preclude
Procludes?
preclude. Okay.
Is that what
Uh,
it is?
yeah. Sony from using Spider-Man in its movies that didn't bear his name. The Spider-Verse movies profusion of Peter Parker, Gwen Stacy, and other various Spider-Man
Hmm.
people certainly bear that out. But there was a feeling within the studio that the audience would not accept Holland's Spidey suddenly popping up in a live action film that wasn't part of the MCU, especially after Spider-Man No Way Home and the Marvel Studios projects Loki and Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness established divisive boundaries to the Marvel multiverse.
Which is brutal. Yikes.
So what, from my understanding, is that I think there's truth to that, but I also don't think there is. I think they're misunderstanding what that really means. So they probably had an idea to have Spider-Man be part of these like side like these villain movies to pop up in there, but I guarantee also if this part of the article is true, they also knew that these movies were bad. And they're like, we're not putting Tom Holland in here. We're not ruining Tom Holland's name with these terrible ass movies. And like we have a contract and they're already finished filming, we got to put them
Well,
out.
why would you put Tom Holland in them if you knew that they were probably not gonna? I mean, let's be real.
Yeah.
If Sony were to watch movies, they have people that like they go send them to audiences and have people rate them and stuff. They know they're not going to do well.
Yeah.
The only time people rate them well, and I'm not saying this happens, may or may not happen, but it's like when Disney pays people to review their stuff really
No, that
well.
definitely happens.
And then they're like, you're watching like Disney stuff and people are, we'd be like, oh, the new Star Wars movie is great. And they're like, I love the Star Wars movie zone in the
I like
11th.
the wars and the stars. And it's like
You're like,
uh
or they use such a I was watching a really interesting video about this that talked about I love Star Wars Galaxies or Star Wars Galaxy Edge at the Disneyland Hotel and Resort. Who
okay.
talks like that? I
Yeah.
just feel like I love Star Wars Galaxy Edge.
If you like something, you should be able to tell me why you like it with
Yeah,
no
well,
issue.
and you don't sit here and use like the full name. That's like listing off like it's just so weird. And so it's
Uh,
weird because
You have
it's
to, it's
like,
like listing off every actor in a movie because you feel the need
yeah,
to. And it's like, no, just list off the important things and move on. And so
yeah, but
but yeah, I say take a grain of salt because it's also somewhat it's according to one Sony source. We don't know what that source is. This could not be it probably could not be a executive or some form of producer. This could be just some person at Sony that is overhearing things and is probably mishearing some things because for years we're being told like Sony cannot put they cannot do a live action Spider-Man for, and maybe they just choose not to because they know that their movies suck and that these movies are just to keep the Sony rights, and that could be just simply case of it. And I know for a fact that they had ideas to put Spider-Man in their movies because if you look at the Morbius trailer, they had Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man poster in the background, one of the trailer shots, and so they were kind of like teasing at Spider-Man being in the movie. But I think that was more of a strategy, marketing strategy, be like, hey, Spider-Man might show up in this movie. You might want to come and see the movie. I think that was more of a marketing tease. I don't think Spider-Man was actually supposed to be in the movie. Um, and And this led everyone to believe that, oh, it was going to be Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man in these movies. Uh, that would not have helped Andrew Garfield in any way. Let's just be fair, because he had two pretty mediocre films. I like the first Amazing Spider-Man, but Amazing Spider-Man 2 is just terrible. And
Yeah, I'm not going to disagree. And I know a lot of people are like, I love that movie. I'm like,
uh, what movie did you watch? It's like, are you talking about No Way Home? Yeah, I like that movie too. No, 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 Amazing Spider-Man 2. The game? No, no, the movie. Okay. So I don't know. We'll have to wait and see for more. And if people are really that upset, like we could have had more live action Spider-Man movies than Tom Holland. That just says that you just don't simply like Tom Holland Spider-Man. Um,
no, I think it's also just because you don't want to waste his time. And
yeah.
if they've signed a certain like I'll be in 6 films or 8 films or whatever, I wouldn't waste it on
Yeah, it's like, why would he want to muddle his name in these terrible
you
movies?
wouldn't you
And
would
it's
never put him
especially
in.
Andrew Garfield. He's living his time without being Spider-Man. Even though he says that he would love to come back, but it doesn't mean he will be desperate to be in one of these. I guarantee he would have hated to be in Craven. Let's just be fair. I think he would have hated to be in Craven, Madam Web, and Morbius.
I
So
think everybody who was in Madam Web hated to be in Madam Web.
yeah.
So,
So
oh
I don't
gosh,
know. Let us know. I mean, let us know your guys' thoughts on this
drop the
whole entire.
comment.
If do you think that Sony is truly done? And what does that quote mean to you when it comes to Sony could do other live action Spider-Man movies? And that could just really mean like they could have done Miles Morales. Who knows? We don't really know, and we don't know if the source is very accurate. So let us know in the comment section below. Moving on to DC. James Gunn dropped his Superman teaser trailer, and
Mm-mm.
I did a trailer reaction to this. You guys can go check that out. So I gave my kind of two side. I gave my thoughts on it. I'm gonna let you give your thoughts on the trailer.
So here's the thing. First and foremost, one, David Corin Sweat. Is that how you say his last name? I always
Yeah,
say it wrong.
I think that's how you say it.
I always
And I
want to
feel
say Corin
bad
Sweet.
because it's like I don't want to call him Sweats. That sounds wrong. It's like if the movie's bad, it's like, oh, you're my armpit sweat because
Oh
this
my
movie
gosh.
sucks.
No, I just wanted to make sure I said his name right.
Mm.
But few things here. First and foremost, it looks promising. I actually watched this trailer and I went, oh, this actually looks really good. Few thoughts. He fits kind of like the nerdy, fun Clark Kent.
Yeah.
You get to see, I think the biggest negative I saw was the dog. That the dog,
The biggest negative, honestly, is probably Nathan Nolan.
well, I know, but I'm saying what people are saying like weird things about how the dog looked,
I
the
like the
CGI,
dog.
whatever.
I don't mind the dog.
I think for me, the thing that was really good was you create it had a little bit of everything in this trailer. This trailer was masterfully made.
Yeah, there's not a lot of talking in this trailer. It's just really, it's a trailer that is trying to establish its tone, and it's supposed to be, it's a mo
Superman is not the strongest that you would think he is.
Yeah,
I mean,
I do
you
like
see him
that. Like they
injured.
opened the trailer with him injured, and the one thing that's hard about a Superman movie is to get people to feel for him because he's a super god, really. And so the first thing that you need to establish, like, hey, he's not the strongest man. Well, he is the strongest man, but he still can get hurt.
Correct.
And
It
so,
it establishes a likable this person I can relate to.
yeah,
And I think that's what's going to make this film really great is one thing that you like about a lot of the Marvel films, and I tell people this all the time, is they're likable characters that have very likable qualities. Like they don't seem like Steve Rogers, like being sacrificing for the greater good and being the young gun that gets a serum that makes him a super soldier. Like I can relate to that.
yeah,
What I can't relate to is some of the previous Superman movies, or even some other like DC. I feel like DC doesn't do a good job of like relating
Yeah, and
to
that
a
was the problem
character.
with the Zack Snyder stuff is that they were always one tone and they were really, really dark. Like they were like I like the first Man of Steel mostly because Christopher Nolan wrote it. I'm gonna make that clear. Christopher Nolan wrote that movie, not Zack Snyder. So Zack Snyder had no in well, he is the director, he has input, but to when it comes to the actual story and the actual dialogue, that was mostly Christopher Nolan's vision. So, just want to throw Zack Snyder under the bus there, because he is just a hack,
Oh my goodness.
and it shows in his Rebel Moon movies and anything that comes out on Netflix. But it's just that but there was just no form of color in his movies. They were always like grayed out, dark. Even though I like Man of Steel, that Superman is not the Superman of hope. He is not the symbol of hope because he's way simple. He's too dark. He's not really they more try to aim him as Jesus, which I never really liked. I was like, why what? Okay. All right. Um, and so and the first thing about this trailer, that James Gunn's trailer of Superman does establishes form of color, establishes some form of hope. And people try to point that out like, yeah, we got that in Man of Steel. It's like, yeah, okay, that's part of the Superman character. I don't know what you're trying to point at there. It's just Superman. That's just Superman is the symbol of hope. And and a lot of people, mostly
And
Zack Snyder fans,
I
try
think
to
that's where they win.
where
And there's a line in there that says crypto take me home.
yeah.
There's something about it where you're now appealing to millions of people that have like animals and have them as a part of their home, which I know that people are like, oh, you're reading too far into a film. That's what's going to make this film successful. It really is.
I
And
think a lot of people will like crypto. I don't
I think so too.
I hope that he doesn't talk because that's where I'm a little iffy. If he talks, it's gonna look weird. But I mean, we do have Rocket. James Gunn has done Rocket, so maybe he can bring the same work as he did for Rocket as for crypto. But I would probably prefer if he just doesn't talk, and if he doesn't talk, that's totally fine. And I think that will be probably the best option for him to go for. Um,
Hmm.
but I've been hearing this from a lot of people over on the internet saying like, oh, no one's gonna like the general audience is not gonna like crypto. They're gonna find this corny, even though that we know as the
No, it'll
as
be
even though
good.
as we know as the fans that we know this is from the comics. People are not gonna like this. It's like that's BS. It's like we got Rocket in Guardians of the Galaxy, and we have movies worth uh of a golden retriever playing basketball. So it's like that's just complete BS. It's
Uh,
if it's executed
Airbud,
well.
if you're making fun of Airbud, Airbud is a great movie.
The first Airbud is actually a really good movie.
It is a great
I
movie.
don't remember the ones after that one. Um,
No, those are just extra. Those are just extra stuff.
those are multiverse Airbuds. Those don't exist. Um, so yeah, I and Nathan Nolan as one of the Green Lanterns. I hate his hairstyle, but I get that is from the comics, so maybe it's supposed to look really that stupid, but it's kind of like almost laughable bad in a way. And
It'll be good. It'll be good.
and I do like Superman's suit. I get some people don't like it. I personally really like it. A lot of people are crapping on Green Lantern suit and Hawkgirl suit, but I think, and this is what some other people are theorizing, is that they're part of a government team, so they have to wear a certain uniform. And maybe if the movie's about Superman breaking that and like superheroes going on their own and like not following whatever the government wants them to follow, and next week at the end of the movie they get their own suits and they have different variants of their own suits and all that, then that would be cool because then that makes sense why they're in uniform because the government wants them to be formal, really. Um,
I think that it very well could be in that realm. So, um, I'm excited. I'm curious to hear what everybody else thinks, though,
Yeah.
because I was genuinely surprised in a really, really good way with this movie, uh, or excuse me, with this trailer. So,
Yeah, and I even like the music. Even it's I don't love it. I like it. I don't hate it. But the John Williams electric guitar for the theme song is kind of cool in a way.
you know,
But yeah, let us know your guys' thoughts. Moving on to
drop
the
them
next
below.
topic is the
Oh,
possible top 10 billion-dollar films of 2025. So we're gonna go through the list of Screen Rant's top 10 real quick, and next we'll give our top three that we think will be
so
actual billion-dollar films. Do you want to read out the films that
yeah.
they have out?
All right. So number 10, they have a Minecraft movie. Number
Mhm.
9, and this is Screen Rant.
Yeah.
Number 9 is How to Train Your Dragon. 8 is Michael, the biopic.
I don't know that one.
7 is the Fantastic Four First Steps.
Yeah, I can
6
see
is
that.
Lilo and Stitch.
Yeah.
5 is Wicked Part 2. 4 is Snow White. 3 is Zootopia 2. 2 is Jurassic World Rebirth. And 1 is Avatar Fire and Ash. So
Yeah.
with that, I have my 3. I'm sure you have your 3, right?
I have an idea of three. I think Jurassic World would be a billion-dollar film because all the other Jurassic World movies made a billion-dollar films. It doesn't sound ridiculous for this one to be a billion-dollar film, especially when it has a good thing going for it at the moment. So, that's one of them. I think that Mission Impossible could get close to $1 billion. I don't think it's going to hit $1 billion, but it could be close to a mission to a
Which is sad because they're great movies.
yeah.
I have Minecraft. I think it's gonna hit $1 billion. I really do.
I
I,
think it
I
could hit
just
700 million. I don't think it's going to hit a billion.
but here's the thing. It's Jack Black. They started to change some things to make it the trailer made it look much better, the last one.
Yeah.
It's Jack Black, and Minecraft is one of the best-selling video games of all time. You're telling me that all those like 10-year-old to 20-year-olds aren't gonna go watch this
I mean, if Mario
25
makes a
times?
billion dollars, I th maybe Minecraft could too. But I don't know. I just if it's not good, it's not going to make $1 billion. If it
What
comes
about
out,
Wicked?
what's even part one at right now? What's even that sitting at? Is it like sitting at
That's
600?
let's see. Let's see. Wicked box office worldwide. Uh, 527 million gross. I don't
It's
think it's gonna hit it.
it's not going to hit a billion. At least the first one. I could see it maybe hitting 700, but it's already been out for almost a month, so
Yeah.
it probably has
The
another month
fact
in itself.
the fact that Screen Rant thinks that Snow White is going to hit $1 billion.
They clearly are ignoring the big controversy around that film. You think people have a controversy around Minecraft. Snow White has the biggest controversy that they had to delay it a whole year. So everything around this movie just doesn't seem ideal. And we'll get a little bit more into it, talking about that one later. We'll talk about the trailer later on that one. But yeah, I don't think that is going to hit $1 billion. I don't even think it will hit 700, maybe 500, at best. So, um, what Zootopia is a good one that might hit $1 billion. Does Zootopia 1 hit $1 billion? I
I
don't
don't
think it did.
I don't think so. Wasn't it like 750?
I think it was 750. It was like around there.
Let's see. Nope. 2016 grossed $1.024 billion worldwide.
Really? It made $1 billion. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember it being that big.
International, it made almost 700 million.
Wait, International made 700 million?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Interesting. Okay. Well, yeah, Zootopia 2 then definitely would hit $1 billion. But yeah, that's kind of all my thoughts on this. It was just an interesting topic to throw in there since it's about to be the new year, and since no movies of the next year has come out yet, I think it'd be cool to theorize, and that we can also lock it in for the end of the
Yeah,
next year. So, do you think Jurassic?
Avatar
Do you think Avatar
Avatar
will?
will be up there.
Yeah, it might. We'll see if it hits $3 billion. Um, the first movie ever to hit $3 billion box office worldwide.
Okay, what did they have to do? Re-release it 18 times?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the first Avatar, did it take the how because what's the first Avatar at? Isn't that at 2 billion dollars?
Avatar: The Way of Water grossed 2.32 billion.
Yeah, what was the first one though?
2.923.
And was
It's not a
that
three.
what was its original box office before its release?
I don't know. Let's see. It doesn't.
I guarantee there's a way of looking that up.
It was only the only 2009 release to gross more than 1 billion.
So it was only $1 billion. So over like uh
I
less than
just want to
10
point
years,
out
9 years.
Avengers Endgame made 2.799 billion. They should re-release Endgame in theaters just to bump it
They
over.
did. They did during COVID.
Did they
Um
really? Where was I?
yeah, the next Avatar release again, and next they like, no, we're gonna be number one in box office worldwide. It's like I don't think they should account that. It's like I don't think they should allow that to be like they should do it where they should have it be two separate categories where it's like its initial release date got it to be this point where it's like this is the number one movie of all time, but then been released over time where it became where it's like okay, that's where but then they have like a box office number for its re-release stuff, but then they keep
Yeah,
the initial release dates box office separate from that. But I guess James Cameron
crazy. That was
has
such a great film in person, man.
yeah.
That was back when people actually wanted to see movies. Just
Yeah.
kidding. Drop your
um
thoughts. We want to know what you think will be the next billion-dollar film, or which one
what
you think is going to be the biggest fail. I want to hear what people's box office bombs are going to be.
Snow White. um probably is going to be Snow White. $200 million,
I know.
200 million. But yeah, so let us know your guys' thoughts in the comment section below. Moving on to Harry Potter news. So early on in this month, more casting controversy. We always love talking about these comics, these topics. Um, so if you're not aware, if you've been living under a rock for the past 2 years, that they are rebooting the Harry Potter series as a show, which I think is an interesting idea. I think there could be a lot of interesting things that could be explored. And now it's just how it's executed and who they cast as Harry, Ron, and Hermione. Now, one of the things that are coming out is some casting members for like Hagrid, which is uh which is not a 6 foot dude, it's some 5'4" dude, I think. That I forget the name of the guy that they are looking at, but they are looking at a guy to play Snape, which I love. Gosh, forgive me, I forget the actor's name. Alan Rickman. Al, right? Why am I blanking? It's gonna kill me. It's I think it's Alan Rickman.
The one who previously played Snape, who
Yeah,
passed away.
yeah,
It is. Yes.
yes. Okay, good. I was gonna throw a fit. Um, it doesn't matter who they cast as Snape. No one's gonna play Snape as well as he did. Unfortunately, it doesn't matter who they cast as Snape. He will be the best. I mean, that's you could say that really for the whole entire cast. It doesn't matter who they cast; they're not going to be as good as the original. But Snape, hands down, was the best casting out of the whole entire out of the whole entire franchise, and even J.K. Rowling trusts Alan Rickman so much that she told him the end of the outcome of the whole entire movie franchise. Even though that the books were out by then that point and like, you knew the endings, but I think she had I think she changed the outcomes a bit for some characters, I think, for the movies. Um, I don't know the outcomes in the book. Maybe you do. Did you read the books at all?
I did.
Are
Yes.
are the endings in the book similar to the movie?
Yeah. There's a few like I could in Order of the Phoenix. They changed a few of like a few of the things. There's a few minor changes, but for the most part, they're pretty
Accurate.
consistent with the books. Yeah.
Okay.
I would say I
Uh,
like the books more, but that's just my personal opinion. So
yeah. So in this recasting of Snape, they got an actor who I don't remember the actor's name. I was trying to look for his name in the article here. It's some British actor, so I wouldn't be able to say his name anyways. Um, I think I see his name. I'm not gonna bother trying to say it. But he's an actor of color, and a lot of people are not happy, which I understand. But at the same time, this is no How to Train Your Dragon situation. Let's be fair. This is not the same level as that, where it's very important to cast someone who is white to play a Viking that takes place in Viking ages. This, on the other hand, I care, but at the same time, it's like, okay, well, if he does a good job, he does a good job because being white isn't really tied to Snape's character, really. I don't know. Like, what are your thoughts? Because I go back and forth on how I feel about someone being recast in a different color that was originally a different color. It's always depending on is their skin color important to the character and is it important to where the movie takes place, really? And that's how I go about it.
Mhm.
Is that pretty much how you feel?
I mean, I think that for me, the I would prefer they just not have remade this at all. Um,
Yeah, and next we wouldn't be having this conversation, but
yeah, I think that that's where I sit. But I think if they can find excellent actors and actresses that one that get a chance to potentially be in, a part of a, a series that's
love.
as culturally impacting and beloved as the Harry Potter franchise, I think that that's fine. So, um, I, I'm one of those people where I have to see it first.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's like it could be great, it could be horrible, it could be surprisingly good.
Yeah.
I think the good
But
news
if
is
but
though,
if it being bad, people are gonna blame. Well, it's like, see, you should have cast a white man. It's like it's not bad because he's black. It's just bad because his performance was not
it,
good.
or because the writing's bad and they
Yeah.
ruined original content, and
Which
that's the
I
thing is,
believe this guy is a nominated for stuff. I believe he's a nominated actor, or at least
oh,
not.
he's a very talented actor. So that's why it's like, me, I don't really care.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm approaching it from the perspective of I really didn't want this show at all in the first place. But if they're gonna pick people who can act, yeah, let's see where it goes.
Yeah. I
So
mean, like this is not on the same level, like I said, for the How to Train Your Dragon one. Which, by the way, that the girl that's playing Astrid, she's only 1% black. So that is a studio deliberately choosing her to play as a black character because she's 1% black, instead of that she could literally easily play as a white character, even though that they don't want
I
her
I
to.
still don't understand like the twins are the biggest.
Well, the twins are the biggest
That's
issue.
just that's the biggest issue
That's
by
the biggest.
far. Her
But
and her skin color, meh, whatever, don't care.
well,
It
but the,
it
I'm just
really
saying.
is the twins.
Well, yeah, but what I'm trying to really say is like it's that the studios are deliberately picking her to play as a black person. They clearly want her to be black, and especially when her race when she is only 1% black. And
I
so
don't.
it's
How do people even find this information out? Who cares?
it's the internet.
Is she gonna act? Great, awesome, great. Do the job because there's a
Yeah.
bunch of people who fit the characters fine and they're horrible at acting, and I don't want to watch them.
Yeah. I
So
mean, Jared Leto fixed the description of Morbius, but he did a terrible job. Um, yeah.
that's a
Uh,
perfect example.
but yeah, yeah, let us know your guys' thoughts. I mean,
Hmm.
like, I personally don't care. I'm more of like, if you're if I fit a description of a character, it's probably best if I play that character if I'm also good at performing for that character. But
Correct.
but if you find someone that it doesn't really matter if that of the color of that person's skin, then yeah, just pick the best actor, pick the best performer. But it's also important to make sure that you cast someone that fits the description of the character if it's important. And so,
Sure.
but Snape is
Yeah.
not that person really. And people bring
No,
up a
I don't think so
picture of
either.
Snape in the book, and it's like, okay, whatever. Yeah, I don't. we got Alan Rickman who looks like Snape from the book. So it's like, who cares? It's like we got the Harry Potter movies still exist. You can still go watch it and all that. And that's why I'm not really too upset about this. This is nowhere near the How to Train Your Dragon situation. So let us know your thought.
Yep.
No, your let us guys let me know your guys' thoughts. English. All right, moving on to the next topic. This one is a weird one.
Yeah, this I'm surprised you added this topic in here. I'm gonna be honest.
I found it to be funny, and this would change things up a tiny bit. So Margot Robbie reveals Wolf of Wall Street that it was her idea to be full nude in Wolf of Wall Street scene in the for that a nude scene was her idea. Um,
I, how much is there to talk about? I think for me the biggest thing is that she's the one. It was her idea.
yeah.
Usually Hollywood has like weird requirements for actors and actresses where you're like,
Well,
ugh,
well, see, this also kind of goes against the whole Hollywood stereotype. It's like, oh, men just want to see women naked, and it's like it was Margot Robbie's idea. She's a female, but also it brings up the topic of like, or when's when are certain things necessary and when do you not have to do things? Like for
sure,
example, some people point out like how sometimes an action scene can go a little bit too far, and it's like, oh, that's a little bit too violent, that's too brutal. And if the whole point of the action scene, was it meant to be brutal? Was it meant to make you feel that way? Was it meant to push the story in that direction? Does it work?
yeah.
And Margot Robbie mentions in this article saying like that she wanted to go nude because that was her character, and that's what like her selling point was her body. And so to show off her body to Leonardo DiCaprio's character was to basically pull him in. It's been a bit since I've watched Wolf of Wall Street. I like it, but it's not something I would watch on a regular basis. It's not really.
So I think the quote that I thought was interesting is I thought I could kiss Leonardo DiCaprio right now. And that would be awesome. I can't wait to tell all of my friends this. So that's a really weird comment to
Hey,
make.
that's Barbie right there.
Well, I wouldn't say that about anybody. Could you imagine? It makes it seem like it was all about because it's Leonardo DiCaprio, who obviously is a very famous and
Hey, I would like to
widely
kiss Margot
attractive
Robbie.
person. So,
I w-
but
I wouldn't mind being in that nude scene with Margot Robbie. What's wrong with that? So
the
I don't know.
comments were look, all I'm trying to say is that from that perspective, the 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 question is, was it necessary? Probably not. I always tell people if you look at most of like the cursing or like nude scenes or anything, you could remove them, and 99.999% of the time it adds nothing to the story. Um,
Yeah,
it it just really doesn't. And
but
so,
Wolf of Wall Street is that hardcore type of film
well,
that's trying to push that like, hey, this is how Wall Street is, and that we need to like really show
yeah,
that. And
it
so,
really showcases that. I mean, you could have insinuated it, but I understand what you're saying. Um, I just think I'm always very cautionary about these types of things happening because I guarantee you, if it was a young actor saying they wanted to be nude with Jennifer Aniston or something, that
people will
may
take it
be
out of
perceived,
context. Yeah.
yeah, that may be perceived
But
very
since it's a woman
negatively.
saying it, it's like, oh yeah, it's funny and like whatever. But if a male
Yeah,
says it,
I I
it's like,
also think that that's weird. So I don't know. I mean,
yeah.
I
What?
guess good for
How
her.
would you feel if Jared Leto came out and said like, yeah, it was fun being nude with said actress? It's like, dude, you're a method actor, and I've seen your weird stuff. You're don't ever say that.
uh, you've been on a Jared Leto kick for the recently, I've noticed.
Oh,
So
he has a Tron movie coming out, so I need to kick him down as much as I can.
okay, I see how that is. Yeah, I just I'm very wary of that. I think that words are obviously very important, and so I'm not speaking for her or other people. I'm just saying that the comment that was made in the context of it, very interesting.
Yeah.
Um, So,
I mean,
especially with how
clearly she
popular she
doesn't.
is now.
Yeah, clearly she doesn't care people looking at her body. The same thing with like Sydney Sweeney. Like Sydney Sweeney's not gonna like I remember her saying like mentioning it like in a interview saying that she's not gonna stop doing nude scenes because that's just what drives the male demographic to go see her movies. Like a lot of
Is
males
that what
go.
she said?
Yeah. Like she
Wow.
understands like a lot of males go see her movies to see her naked, which is I mean I makes sense. Like that's like, a lot of males go see superhero films to see women in tight spandexes. So it's like that's like a selling point for a lot of people in movies. And I mean that's better than watching porn. So um but yeah, moving on to the net.
Wow. That's interesting. That
Oh,
is a
did
very,
you look up the quote?
yeah, that's a very weird, um, wow. That's very,
Well, I mean,
she didn't beat around the bush.
did you watch Black Widow for a good story? Or did you watch Black Widow to see Scarlett Johansson kick some ass?
I mean, I think everybody likes Scarlett Johansson as Black Widow,
Yeah.
but I mean, from that perspective, you like the character. I think the reason why is because Black Widow is a really awesome, strong female character lead,
Yeah.
and Scarlett Johansson plays that actress very well. I mean, it, what needs to be careful, and like I said, just that would be like saying a bunch of women went to go see Chris Evans as Captain America just for his body.
I mean, a
I
lot of people do. A lot of women actually
Do
do
you
that.
really think so? I
Yeah.
think that people just see that
I
they're
I heard a complaint at the movie theater that someone went and saw Craven for Aaron Taro Johnson's abs, and his abs were
well,
hardly in the.
that makes sense because that movie we knew was going to be bad. But like for movies where we actually love the character and you're invested in the story, I don't know. I feel like you would see them for the right
Well, I
reason.
mean, movies
My
like Fifty
opinion.
Shades of Grey exist for a reason.
Okay, well, like that and Magic Mike, you know why people go see that
Yeah.
movie. That's like not that's what the movie is.
Yeah.
So
I don't know.
interesting. Hmm.
Let us know your guys' thoughts. Do you guys go to the movies to see naked women or what? Or for the story?
That is a very blasé way to say it. I think the
Um,
better question is do you think that that is a good enough reason to go see a movie? Um,
if that's the selling point for the movie, then yeah, I
yeah,
guess.
but I don't know. I just don't think that's a good reason to go see a movie in any
No,
capacity.
but if it's like if the movie's about I don't know a stripper and she's trying to find her way in the world or something, then that's gonna have elements of her being
Sure,
naked. And
sure.
so, but yeah, moving
But
on
I
to the
mean, at that
movie.
point, you got to wonder what the movie's even trying to accomplish.
Well,
So,
yeah.
but yeah,
But moving on to the next topic, Karate Kid Legends first trailer. Not a bad trailer. I, 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 I'm just kind of off the Karate Kid train a tiny bit. I'm still looking forward to this movie. This is Cobra Kai has just really watered things down. I cannot
I
finish.
love Cobra Kai.
Did you finish the second half of this of season six? I don't think so.
I did.
Oh, it's probably terrible, isn't it?
It ended on a weird cliffhanger. So,
I would think. I don't. I still am trying to force myself to finish it. But where I stop is when more of the high school drama start. I'm like, oh my God, more of it. Like it's always on and off with some teenage person dating with one another. It's like, oh,
yeah.
it's always the same gosh dang subplot over and
Do
over.
you I think what I will say is that Ralph Macchio is milking this franchise so
Well, he
well.
has nothing
Good for him.
else going on, so I'm
Good for him though. I
yeah.
like he also got a start on the Hollywood Walk too.
Yeah, because of Cobra Kai, probably, right?
I have no idea. I just know, he got it. So,
Yeah.
but
And next you
there's
have
a lot of there's a lot of flashback. I'm glad that Jackie Chan and then, Ralph Macchio are in it. I think that that's going to make it
yeah.
excellent.
And you also have um why am I blanking? Will Smith producing the film, so maybe James Smith might make a cameo. I
I
hope
wouldn't
not.
mind that. Good, go Joe Jaden Smith. I think should start rapping with Justin Bieber.
Oh gosh. Do a Jaden Smith or biopic.
I would be okay with that. That would be interesting.
And next, they will dive into the reason why Will Smith and Jaden Pinkson don't like each other. Um, dive into that whole.
I think they should have in this movie. They should bring out what's his face, um, Chris Rock.
Oh gosh. Yes, when they do a biopic of Will Smith, they gotta have the slap in it. They have to have the slap of Chris Rock in it.
I still
Uh,
can't believe that happened. That just blows my mind.
it's
So
all stage. It's fine. Moving on to
probably,
let us know your guys' thoughts on this. There's not really that much to talk about. They don't really. There's not
yeah.
much
There's
in the
not a whole
trailer.
lot in it.
But it does bring back some of the original Karate Kid feels for it. That's for sure. So, moving on to the next topic is the 28 years later first trailer. Speaking of Aaron Taylor Johnson, I love this guy. I think he's a fantastic actor. The first movie I really noticed him in was Bullet Train, which I love. I love Bullet Train. Um, and I mean, he was a good Quicksilver, but I always forgot that he played as Quicksilver. I'm like, oh yeah, I guess he was. I guess he was in Age of Ultron. So I'm glad that he's still getting roles, and being in part of these big budget films. And 28 years later is a good thing to be part of. I like zombie movies, and the last good zombie movie was World War Z. The third act was a little iffy, but yeah, I don't know. What's your thoughts on the trailer?
You know, um, I thought it was definitely interesting. I feel bad for the kid, don't you?
The kid?
Yeah, in the trailer.
I don't remember. You're gonna have to describe the kid part to me.
The kid when they're out with like their bow and arrow
I
and they're
don't remember.
hunting.
I don't remember the part that you're talking about,
Uh,
unfortunately. Is it what a kid gets shot with a barrel with an
no,
arrow?
he's just a young kid and he's like scared and they're chasing after him.
Ah, well, yeah. I mean, that makes sense. Like, they're scavengers at this point, like fight for the survival. And you had to eat something, I guess.
Yeah.
And I need to watch 28 Days Later. I need to watch 28 Weeks Later, which I believe they're both on digital now. I think Sony put them out on digital.
Oh, did
Now,
they?
yeah, I remember seeing something about that because like there was like rights issues that Sony was having with the original film. It was like some weird issue that was happening. Um, and the one weird thing is that outlets were confirming that the zombie that you see coming out of the grass was Cillian Murphy. So I was like, oh, okay, well they killed off Cillian Murphy in this movie. I don't know why would you spoil that, but he's a zombie. But now reports are coming out saying like, oh, that is actually not Cillian Murphy. Um, and
Oh.
it's like, why would you? Okay, all right, why? So. I told a friend like no, yeah, that's because he called me saying like, hey, this is this it's funny how that zombie looks like Cillian Murphy. I'm like, no, it is because outlets are confirming it, but now they are going back against it.
Oh, that's so interesting. Huh.
Yeah, I mean, he's supposed to be in the film, and he's also getting his own, I think, solo sequel too. They're playing a lot of like sequels for this universe, which is very interesting. And this film was made with an iPhone too, right? It was like made with an iPhone like 16 or whatnot. I remember seeing something like that because the first one was made off of phone too. Like the very first 28 movie was made off of phone.
Wasn't it 28 days?
Yeah, 28 Days was made off a phone. But I believe 28 Years Later was also too made with made on a phone, iPhone. Yeah, it was made on an iPhone 15 Pro, which is funny. Like they still got a couple of lenses put on it, but they it was filmed with an iPhone, which is hilarious. That just says how much of smartphone looks like a digital camera now these days. So, um, but yeah, any other thoughts?
No, I think it'll be good. I'm excited. I haven't seen the original one in forever, so I need to go back and watch it.
Yeah. And next you have Jeremy Renner in 28 Weeks Later as well, which is very interesting. Does Jeremy Renner survive in 28 Weeks Later?
I don't know. I genuinely don't remember. Isn't that sad?
Yeah. I mean, like if he did survive, I would expect him to return too if he liked playing the role. his role. But yeah, let us know your guys' thoughts in the comment section below of 28 Years Later's trailer. Moving on to this topic, do you want to do this one?
I guess. All right. Bum, ba-da-dum, ba-da-dum, bum, 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 bum. The name is Carson. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. Okay. So according to the New York Post, James Bond producers shot down Amazon's woke female 007 idea. And it's pretty funny.
You understand how the James Bond rights work, right?
No.
So there's two different there's I forget the full on name of the family. I think they're called the Broccoli family. So whatever, like there's this family and they own the Bond's rights, but uh, MGM owns also the Bond's rights. So they have to come up with an agreement to. It's almost like the Disney and Sony deal, where like they have to come on an agreement on what story they have to that they want to do. And so, and the family, they're very strict on what they want, how they want to allow the James Bond franchise, what they want to do with the James Bond franchise, because they are the original ownership of the James Bond IP. And so for it's very well known that they want to keep James Bond as like a male person, like keep it his like, like the selling point of the movie of his like male fatigue and all that. And so it seems like this is one of the possibilities. So take this with a grain of salt because I haven't seen any other articles mention this. This is just the one that mentions the quote, which I found funny and which I wanted to share. But like apparently one of the ideas was to make James Bond a female, which I don't care really, but at the same time, just make your own James Bond IP, female 006 or whatever, call it whatever you want at that point, and like still do like a James Bond movie. I don't know why we're making a big deal over a female like spy agent, especially when in the previous James Bond movies where we had badass female agents. So, but they want James Bond, so they don't want like a Jamie Bond, they want like James Bond, like at least the Broccoli family. And it seems like wants to break that boundary. And so, but I find this funny because the Broccoli family calls Amazon a bunch of fucking idiots. I'm like, that's funny. So I'm like, I found that funny. And so,
Not shocking.
yeah, I mean, Amazon, they are idiots. They made people more stupid, and now stores are going out of business. So there's that. But I can't really say much because I use Amazon on a regular basis. Um,
Not shocking.
I mean, there's nowhere else to go. You kind of have no choice. So, but what's your thoughts on this?
See, here's the thing. The idea that they would take a super popular character and try and change it, just rewrite another character. Don't make it the
Just write
James Bond.
just write a new story. Just write a new IP. Why is it so hard?
Like Janie Bond or like James Bond's sister, or just do another double O number. 003 as a woman. Great. Okay, awesome.
And is she gonna have James Bond show up in the movie as a
Yeah,
cameo?
correct. I think that would be the best way to do it, honestly. So,
Like so. This is like this whole entire topic seems like two sides of the cup of like the deal trying to puff their chests at one another like no we're the big dogs, and so it seems like what this is going on around here.
yeah, and
um
unfortunately, I think it's going to be to the negative of everybody, in my opinion.
yeah, but
So,
this could also explain why we have not gotten a new James Bond movie, because what was the last one that came out? 2021, is that the last one that came out?
no, wasn't it later than that? I want to say it was.
I thought it was 2021. It might have been 2020.
There's no way it was 2021. Okay.
Okay, yeah.
And it was late 2021, wasn't it like November or something?
I think so, around there. So usually by now
October.
we would have an idea of what who our next James Bond is, and next maybe we'll. But by the looks of this, we might not have another James Bond movie for the next 5 years. And so,
Yeah,
which Daniel Craig was a great James Bond, so maybe it's time for a break. Who knows?
it. I feel bad for him. Poor James Bond. But
Too, poor James Bond, poor Jamie Bond. Oh well. Oh no, we're not gonna get a female 007. Wah.
I'm glad we're not. Let's just keep it the
Yeah,
way it is.
let us
So
know your guys' thoughts on this topic down below. Is it really that big of a deal? Do you think it's just two sides that will sooner or later kiss and make up and they'll make some money? Because that's what it is at the end of the day. It's just if I was in the room, guys, let's just make some money. Like, who cares what? Let's just come with this. Let's come with some form of agreement and do some. And it's like if you don't want James Bond to be a female, then we'll do a spin-off in the same universe.
thank you.
And
And
so,
and they could totally do that. I think they have the
which
funding
I
and the
don't know why
money.
they've never done that, like a
I,
James Bond spin-off.
they
Like, is
could, or
like
like an American. I like you could do anything, honestly.
have like a spy universe. Why does that always have to be James Bond? I like James Bond, don't get me wrong, but after a while, it's gonna get sick. It's gonna get real old when we're on the 20th James Bond recast, and it's like, can we just have like a universe at this point? And
Yeah.
next, you reboot the universe every 20 years or something. I don't know.
I mean,
Um,
that's kind of what they do. No,
well, it's more like every 5 years. So let us know your guys' thoughts. Moving on to this next topic. Jurassic World Rebirth new images have came out, and they also in this article tease it to be a trilogy. So Gareth Edwards was like doing an interview saying, let me see if I can pull up his exact quote. So he says here, I can't speak for Universal, but it did feel like a new trilogy in a way. He said, I'm not sure what their plans are, but it felt like the beginning of a brand new chapter in this franchise. For one, he knows for 100% their plans. He is working on a he's working on literally a Jurassic World movie. So he has to understand this. I hope that this is not a Star Wars sequel situation where Universal is not telling them like, hey, you work on one movie, we're gonna have another director work on this movie and another director work on this movie. It's like hopefully they have a plan, and most likely they do have a plan, and I guarantee Gareth Edwards knows if this is a trilogy or if not. Especially by the time the new movie comes out, we'll understand if there's gonna be more after it. Most likely that it will be because Universal wants to milk Jurassic till it's a fossil. Um, but yeah, a-
uh,
and I like these new images that they also put out. They're pretty much somewhat similar images that we've seen before, but they're
the
more
the coloring is so good. It
yeah,
feels Jurassic, and Jonathan Bailey and Scarlett Johansson look stellar. They look
yeah.
like they're meant to be in this
I
franchise,
want
which
to
I'm
I want to see what the Jurassic. I want to see what the dinosaurs look like. I'm waiting for like our first actual look at like a dinosaur. I'm curious to see what they look like. And I don't think there was any animatronics, unfortunately, which I hate to say. I think most of the dinosaurs are probably CGI. But Gareth Edwards, he's great with CGI, so I have full faith with him to make them look great and look scary and bring some form of tension and horror back to the franchise.
Mhm.
And that's pretty much all my thoughts on this.
Yeah. No, I think it'll be good. And like I said, Gareth Edwards is a great person to pick at the helm of this project. So if he gets
He
three
did
films,
Godzilla, so
yeah, if he gets three films, I think they're going to be excellent. And yeah, I'm excited that Jurassic World gets him, and like I said, Jonathan Bailey and Scarlett Johansson are very incredibly talented.
I guarantee they're also signed on for a contract, like a trilogy contract deal as well. Because if you're gonna bring Scarlett Johansson on for like a movie like this, you're not gonna sign them for one. You're probably gonna sign them for like three. And so, um, because she's
Yeah,
not doing anything either at the moment. Her character's dead, so we don't expect her to return in game. Um, unless they suddenly announce it tomorrow, like, hey, Scarlett Johansson's coming back in Avengers
she
Doomsday.
who honestly though would not be surprising, not really.
No. But yeah, so let us know your guys' thoughts in the comment section below on Jurassic World Rebirth and its new images. And how would you feel if it's a new trilogy? Well, if the movie's good, bring it on. If the movie's good, bring it on. Moving on to this. Sad day, another sad topic in physical media. Uh, LG is discontinuing all their UHD Blu-ray players. Um, and Blu-ray and Blu-ray Wait, why?
Wah, wah.
Um, oh, okay, they're two separate things. Let's just be
Yeah.
fair. LG, they were never really well known for their Blu-ray players. They were always kind of
I feel like
iffy.
Sony was always the
It
person.
was Sony, and for some reason, people are saying that Sony is out of the Blu-ray game, which is complete utter BS and lies because Sony made a deal with Disney to sell their Blu-rays up front. Like like because Sony owns Blu-ray. Like they own the company Blu-ray. So they make Blu-rays. Why would they get out of the why would they get out of the competition when they literally own Blu-rays? So that's whoever says that false. Don't listen to them. It's all
Fake news? Is that fake news?
fake news. Because and maybe Sony stopped making Blu-ray discs, not Blu-ray discs, but Blu-ray drives. Maybe that's what they're talking about. But see, the thing is, why does Sony doesn't need to make more Blu-ray drives when they can just sell a drive with their PlayStation, and next they get you hooked on video games. So it's
That's that's kind
like
of exactly what they do, though,
yeah,
honestly.
that's what they are doing because like they have a whole entire like media side on their PlayStation. Like they want you to be it's like it's almost like Apple. They want you to be in their ecosystem on the PlayStation. And
Yeah.
so yeah, so like if anyone says that Sony's out of the game, that's a complete lie. So Blu-ray, so like physical media is still gonna live on, especially with Sony. And this doesn't really worry me. It's just another like ticked off the dice type of deal.
Sure.
It's like just another domino falling down, and it's just but it's LG who really cares. Like you're not really LG is more known for like their screens and like that's all that's what sells for
Yeah.
them. And so
Which is
that's
not
why
surprising.
yeah, and that's why Best Buy got out of the game too because number one thing that they don't because the number one thing that they sell isn't Blu-ray discs, it's their home theater experience. That's what they sell. And so it doesn't make sense to sell something that doesn't sell.
Yeah.
And at least that especially that isn't your main thing. Um
Well, and it's just expensive. Physical media is going to continue to be an overhead when you can put it on a digital streaming service for like nothing.
Well, again, you don't own it, and studios could take away and edit as much as they feel like it. So, whatever. If you really want studios to choose whatever you want to watch, fine, go down that road. But,
I thought you didn't like physical media.
fine. Now, see, the thing is, I can watch Jurassic Park whenever I want. I don't need Peacock, which is a terrible name for a streaming service, to watch Jurassic Park. And
I
like,
love Jurassic Park.
the other day I felt like watching Inception and I was like looking up like what is it on a streaming service and it's like on like a streaming service I don't have and I remember like oh wait I have it on physical media. Ha, take that. Take the middle finger random streaming service and I put in my disc and watched it. That's the beauty of having physical media that where you just like, oh yeah, I want to watch this movie, but you don't have the streaming service for it, but you have the physical media for it, so you can watch it.
And you can
So
actually own it.
yeah,
So,
uh, I don't, I like there's two different arguments here. Like
sure.
there's one argument like, well, I don't have the space for physical media, which is understandable. And next there's the other side of the argument where like is it important if it goes or if it stays? And the real answer to that is that it needs to stay so then people feel like they have the choice to watch whatever they want to watch.
Correct.
And if it goes, then we feel, and next we're just going to be living in like a communist world where we're being controlled on what we can basically consume. And so, I don't know. Let me know
It
your
should be
guys.
interesting.
Is anything really what you want to add to this?
No, I was just gonna say, I think for me, I haven't purchased a Blu-ray and I can't even remember how long, so I'm not super surprised. I think unfortunately DVDs and Blu-rays are going to be like similar to people who collect records. I think it'll be a very collector based.
Yeah. And because like they're getting to the point where like, news outlets go like, "Hey, this movie sold out pretty well." It's like, yeah, because it's sold in small um
Quantities.
quantities.
Yeah.
It's not like they put in the numbers of like 2019 how they sold comparable to then. Which and they're never it's never ever going to be, unfortunately, until people start waking up and realizing that you're living in a world where you are just being controlled. And some people are fine with that, even though those people want that have the free will to do whatever they want to. It's a weird double standard. So, let us know your guys' thoughts on this down below.
Nope,
Moving
I'm
on
interested.
to this one. So this is where we kind of back into the more interesting topics. I don't know if we ever talked about this before, but so Austin Butler has been proposed to star as Patrick Bateman in the remake of American Psycho. I watched this for the very first time this year, and I actually really liked American Psycho a lot. The ending is a little iffy for me. I don't know how I feel about the ending, really, but I like the movie a lot, and I'm not. And again, why do we need to remake this? This is barely even 20 years old, isn't it? Because when did American Psycho? Yeah,
2024,
yeah.
24
So,
years old.
and so for one, there's no need to remake it, and two, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do any different? Because the people that have seen American Psycho are gonna know the outcome when they go watch it. It's like, oh wow, I'm not gonna get into spoilers if anyone hasn't seen American Psycho. But
Jared Leto's in this film.
yeah, in the first one, yeah, in the original one, yeah, maybe they'll bring him back. It.
It's Morbin.
It's Morbin time. It's like
Mm.
they pull out when he pulls out his card, it says Morbin time on it. It's like, here, look at my beautiful cards that I got here. I mean, Austin Butler is a great actor. Uh, this is slightly different from what he normally plays, but it's just like, I don't know, what's the point?
Yeah,
What
I'm not very.
is he upset that he has I don't know, a female worker with him, or I don't like what I don't. I just don't know what they're gonna really do. I don't. That's kind of my thoughts.
Yeah, I think for me, and I mean
It's
this
probably
in
gonna be watered
way,
down too.
the nicest way possible. Austin Butler in another movie.
Hey, do not diss my name like that.
No, it's not. It's just you're telling me there wasn't somebody who wasn't a popular actor that could have been cast. I don't know.
But
I just
but the real answer is like it doesn't even need to be remade in the first place.
No, it doesn't. But I mean,
It's
if you're
like,
gonna remake it, it's like,
well, you
how
can
do you
make
go
a
from Christian Bale to Austin Butler? Like, I'm not saying that they're not both great actors.
yeah.
I'm saying you're picking two very iconic actors at their time frames to be this character.
Well,
Where, yeah,
American Psycho what made Christian Bale a big actor for one. Austin Butler's already in his hype, like his big, like his peak point in career right now. But the thing is, if you're gonna make a somewhat of American Psycho movie, just make a new IP. Just make a new version of it. Just not Don't call it American Psycho and change things about it.
see, but here's the thing. Uh, just push back on that. Christian Bale was in the Newsies in 1992. He was in Secret Agent, which was actually a decent movie. Midsummer Night's Dream. Like, it's not like Christian Bale was not well known. He just
No,
wasn't well known for that type of role.
well, I think what I was trying to say was really that American Psycho really put him on the map. He was like he was known for like smaller stuff, but like that was his like first big role. It was American Psycho because American Psycho was what got him the role for Batman to play Bruce Wayne, and so he had that going for himself and for that. But yeah, it's just another day in Hollywood to make a movie that doesn't need to exist when I can just watch the original one.
Hmm.
When you could just make a simple new IP. I just don't get it. I don't. Speaking of but yeah, let us know your guys' thoughts in the comment section below. Speaking of remakes, they're remaking Tangled. When did they announce this? Apparently, this is everyone knew this but me.
See, here's the thing. They're just gonna keep releasing live action. The way that
But
I
the
knew
you
is
know what's
that
gonna happen though is that they're gonna cast Pickens
Pinkett
Smith
Smith.
as Tangle. But the thing is, she doesn't have any hair, so how is she gonna pull off?
Oh my gosh.
I'm gonna get
No.
hate for that one, but you know what? That was a funny joke.
Oh
Laugh,
my
people.
god. Oh my goodness. No,
Who else come smack me?
the way that I found out about this is I found out about it from somebody had asked about Zachary Levi,
Hmm.
if he like what he thought about it, and he's like, "Oh, I don't remember what he said, but he seems like super excited about it."
Well, I mean, yeah, he's an actor trying to rebuild his career after Shazam 2. He's talked so much crap during the press of that, so he needs to make good on studio size again. Um, but but the whole point of this topic is that they announced the director. It's Michael Gracey. I don't know who that is. I've never heard of that name before. Um, Let me look up what Michael Gracey has done. Sounds like a new new director.
No, I don't think so. It's You're probably going to be
Oh, The
surprised.
Greatest Showman. Okay, well, all right
Yeah, I
then.
was going to say you'll be surprised. So,
Rocket. I do like Rocket Man. All right. Better Man is a new movie that's coming out late next year. It says 2024. It's coming out next year. It's like a document. It's like not a documentary. It's a biopic, but the main lead sees himself as a monkey. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but okay. Well, he has some things under his belt. I do like The Greatest Showman. But again, I don't see the freaking point of these god dang remakes. And and I like Tangle. I think Tangle, the original Tangle, is a great movie. Um, they'll just not. They're just not going to cast a white woman, though.
oh my gosh, you never know. Don't be a naysayer.
I'm just, making fun at Disney and remakes now. And literally, honestly, when you do look at every single Disney remake, majority of the time it is like a recast of a white character to like a color person. So I'm not wrong in that aspect. Um, it's just that's just simple facts. So I don't know. Let us know your guys' thoughts on this. Are you excited for a Tangle remake? Most like whenever I ask these questions,
No,
uh people are not, but yet somehow Disney is still making money off of these. And so
because Disney will continue to make money.
from the general audience, yeah, because they don't want to use their brain. Um,
Oh my goodness. Austin said some crazy things tonight, everybody. You should drop your favorite Austin comment.
Everyone is R word.
Oh my goodness. We are the review show. That's the only R word that we like to talk about is
No,
reviewing.
no. Another word for stupid. Um, yes.
That's really
Whoever
unacceptable, is
supports
what it
these
is.
remakes, they are
Not very intelligent.
yes.
Let's just say that.
Moving on to another remake, Snow White trailer. I actually saw, so there was actually a lot of controversy around this trailer. So originally it was released in theaters only, and people are like, "Oh, wait, the Snow White trailer is out, but it's not nowhere on the internet." So it was only being released in theaters, and now it's actually out on the internet. And well, since I've been negative, I'll say some positive things about this trailer. It shows off the talent of Rachel Zegler. It shows off the talent of the music for sure. And it looks the movie looks nice. It doesn't look terrible. It looks fine until the dwarfs show up.
Yeah, I
Uh,
was gonna say the
um,
CGI is really brutal.
on
Although she does very much look like the original Sleeping Beauty, or I mean, Snow White. You know what I mean.
but
So
not white. Um,
I I don't even know. Who cares? I can't even tell.
It's more what she has said on press tours that been getting on my nerves. Honestly, if she didn't say any of that stuff, I would ignore a lot of the stuff that she's been saying. I would ignore a lot of the backlash that she is beginning. But she says some of the most ridiculous stuff that's kind of hard to ignore it. And that this movie is just it's actually completely new. That it's actually not even a remake. It's a completely new thing that they just simply just slapped the name Snow White on it because it's a recognizable name. And all that did was actually piss off people. And so I don't know.
That's kind of, yeah, that's exactly what they did. Kind of crazy.
It's
But
like if this was a new IP, you wouldn't have the backlash that you would have. And I think that's the real I think that's the real issue here. Is like why remake something to either change it to make it worse or not even try anything or just simply just plain or it's just a plain remake like screen by screen remake of it. Making it like who is this for? What is the point? Why not just make something new then?
yeah, I agree.
So I'm not gonna bash Rachel Zegler when it comes to her performance because she is a great performer, but she needs to work on her PRs. That's what she needs to work on. And so, um, but any other thoughts?
No, I'm interested to see how this movie does. Genuinely.
Moving on to topic 16. This is your topic. You know more about this than me.
It's not even knowing more about it. So, drop comments about that. This is an interesting topic. So, Jared Leto's going to be playing Skeletor in Masters of the Universe movie.
Yeah,
Um,
what is that really?
so Masters of the Universe is like a pretty popular it's actually a pretty popular figure line too. But in 1987, there was a Masters of the Universe film that came out. Dolph Lundgren was He-Man. Frank Langella was the original Skeletor. Um, to give some context, um, it's basically I'm trying to think of a good way to place this. So it's more or less evil Skeletor, skeleton looking man, finds a mysterious power called it's called the Cosmic Key. Basically becomes invincible, but there's a warrior that's fighting him. It's very, very good. I would encourage people to look at it. It's very interesting um, how how it'll be, but I don't want to spoil too much just because it's interesting, but everybody should go take a look because Dolph Lundgren did really well in the first one. The first one wasn't well received, but Jared Leto is interesting because he's a good actor, but he's been in some bad films. Oh,
And he just seems like a very weird person. Uh,
yeah.
like what was the last good movie that he was really in?
Uh,
I did like him in House of Gucci, to be honest. I
I
did
was gonna
like
say he was good in that movie.
that movie, and I think that movie is a little underrated. It's not the greatest movie in the world, but I think it doesn't deserve
Let's
the hate. I think Ridley
let's
Scott did
see.
a good job with that movie.
Fight Club, Dallas Buyers Club he was in, which was good.
American Psycho,
Yep. Um, Blade Runner,
the original or the remake?
the 2017 one.
I actually don't. I've only seen clips of that movie. I don't remember it. Is that one even that good? The Blade 2017 Blade Runner.
It's okay.
It's okay.
It's like
Yeah, I don't have much thoughts on it because I don't know much about that universe. So I don't know. Let us guys know your thoughts in the comment section below on this. How do you feel about Jared Leto? This is just a Jared Leto episode mostly.
I
Uh,
think I think you have to say that he's very talented, but it's unfortunate because he doesn't fit the roles that he plays often.
he has a good
Um,
agent. We'll say that he has a good agent then.
yeah, and he makes a boatload of money, so can't be mad at him.
Maybe Tarzan, Tron might save his career. Who knows? Um,
I don't think his career would save it. I think he'll be fine.
I'm just not a big fan of Tron, to be honest. I don't really care that much.
Yeah. The one that came out in what, 2008 was pretty solid. Um,
Yeah, it took them 20 years to make a sequel.
2010. Yeah, I thought it was good. Jeff Bridges was really interesting in that movie. I like Jeff Bridges though. So
Yeah. So let us know your guys' thoughts. Moving on to our final topic, 17 topics. Like, holy crap. Jim Carrey addresses returning for a mass sequel. So, on the press tour for, or I believe it was like the red carpet, for Sonic 3, which is actually a very good movie, guys. If you have not seen Sonic 3, go check it out. He was asked a couple of questions on like, would he return of doing like certain sequels that he was uh of movies that he was a part of. And he mentioned The Grinch as like one of the movies that he would like to do as for like a sequel since now there's motion capture so he doesn't have to put on the makeup because like for one of his biggest complaints in Hollywood was for the original Grinch of how much makeup he had to put on and prosthetics that he just wasn't having a good time with, which is very
I think
understandable, but the
I think
makeup
it said
looked
it took him
great.
like 3 hours or something
I
crazy.
think more than that, like maybe 8 hours. Um,
Mm.
and I love like the way that he jokes around about it because like he would like he had to get someone that was in the military like train him how to calm down because he was like having like I think panic attacks. I think he was saying that he was having. He was getting like very stressed out because he wanted to quit the project and not do the role. But he basically a guy came in saying like a bunch of things that he could help him calm down and like get him through the makeup process and all that, and being in the makeup is just him smoking, so he found it funny that it's just the Grinch on set smoking like a cigarette, which is very funny. I think that's funny. But so he thinks doing a sequel to the Grinch would be interesting because I believe isn't there like a book sequel to the Grinch where like it was called like the Grinch Lost Christmas or something.
Yeah, so
They could do that. I never read it. Have you ever read that book?
I have
Um,
not,
no.
no.
I don't know. Maybe they could do something like that to bring back Jim Carrey because Jim Carrey's Grinch movie um has definitely found a fan base over the years because it was not well received at first, but it's grown on people over time. It's just mostly because the Benedict Cumberbatch Grinch movie sucks, and that was a true adaptation of the book. Um, but another movie that he would like to do is a sequel to The Mask. Wait, you're telling me that they did not do a sequel to The Mask? Are we not going to talk about that sequel, Mask?
Shh. We don't talk about that one. I'm
Oh,
just kidding.
um, what do you think of him doing sequel Mask? What would they even do?
Maybe him passing on the mask or something. I don't know.
But he did pass on the mask in the first one. He threw it out into the river, and next it found some baby, and the baby put it on
I don't know.
the
That's
son
what
of the mask.
maybe. I don't know. That's what we're like. It comes back to him, and it's an archetype about that. I genuinely don't know what it would end up being.
Is it even the girl? Like, does the girl still act? What's her name? I need to look up her
Oh
name.
gosh. I don't even know.
Cameron Diaz. Is
Cameron
that it?
Diaz. I haven't seen her in forever.
I haven't. Yeah. What was even?
Um,
She was in Shrek. Was she? Was
yeah,
she?
she was Princess Fiona.
Oh wow. Oh, I guess she would be in that Shrek 6 or whatever.
Oh,
Yeah, Shrek
Shrek.
5. She'll be in that. The recent thing that she was in was a TV series called Side Hustle, and she was and
No.
but the latest movie that she was in was Annie, the 2014 Annie, which was
Oh,
not very good.
no. I didn't like that one, which is sad because I feel like I've seen all the Annie movies, and that one was not good at all.
Yeah. So it seems like she's been on the low end, really, and not of really acting, really. Besides maybe like a TV show there and then, and next Shrek 5 that's coming out in 2026. She's still relatively acts, so she could return to for a mass sequel. What would you say that what would you rather see Jim Carrey? What sequel from Jim Carrey would you rather see? I would like to
Hmm.
see him do another Ace Ventura. I think that would be fun.
Ooh, that I would rather see over the mask. Gonna be
Yeah.
honest. You're right.
I think there you can have a little bit more fun with Ace Ventura than the mask. Um I, he is getting a little bit old. How old is Jim Carrey? Is he like 60?
Gotta be close to.
He's younger than Nicolas than not well, he's definitely younger than Nicolas Cage, but he's I believe he's younger than Tom Cruise. Um 62. He's 62 years old. Yeah, so he could do a retired Ace Ventura who's pulled back into the action. He could do
I
something
was
like
gonna
that.
say it would be interesting to see him in that film. I think for me, the other one you could do like a yes man where he
Yeah.
says no to everything. Just kidding.
And but then they call it Maybe Man.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
I
It's
would
like
watch that.
it's like maybe. It's like no, it's a yes or no, maybe. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I really wouldn't mind seeing it. I do like Jim Carrey. I think he's a cool guy.
Yeah.
So
And since he said he was going to retire, and clearly he's done with retirement, and I think he even mentioned something like that in the statement. Like he wasn't fully sure if he was retired. It was more like a break for him because he was just, I guess he just needed a break. He really found painting. Like he got like passionate into like painting and all that as like a hobby. So I don't know. Let us know your guys' thoughts. Let us know what sequels you guys would rather see him do. Don't say Dumb and Dumber 3, please. I Dumb and Dumber 2 was so bad. That was a bad movie.
we don't talk about that one either.
We'll leave it there. So, but yeah, 17 topics. I think that's the most topics that we've ever had in an episode. Um,
Which is good because there was a lot of really interesting topics this time around.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, 12 episodes in 1 year. Oh gosh. And like, throughout the year, the more people started watching the podcast, which is awesome. I appreciate you guys.
Thank
Uh
you.
yeah, and not a lot of people leave their thoughts on the main podcast, but whenever I do put up like the visual videos of certain topics, people do get into it and people do leave their thoughts, which is very awesome to see. Um and it's cool to talk with you guys and all that. And one thing I do want to do next year when we get to 50 episodes, because I believe this is the 44th episode, it might be 45. Um,
Which is incredible. Congrats, by
yes,
the way, good sir.
thank you. When we get to 50 episodes, I want to do a live stream that's to get you guys involved. And so depending on how everyone's schedule works and what day we do it, it's definitely not going to be on a Monday, for sure.
Not
But
on a Monday at
12
one
a.m.
o'clock.
Yes. Um, but I would like for to celebrate 50 episodes, I would like to do a live stream and doing like talking topics live and even doing a section talking with you guys to see other
That would be
topics
sick.
what other topics you guys have to mention. We'll give our thoughts on it. So I don't know. But anything else before we end the year off?
No, I just think I'm excited for all the additional topics that come up for next year and all the incredible stuff that's going on, you know?
Yeah. To push my ego, what was your favorite thumbnail throughout the year?
Hmm. I think it was the one that we did for July's episode.
I don't even remember.
Didn't you do?
I like the Matt Damon one where it says, Jesus Christ, it's Spider-Man.
That is really good.
I'll have to pull it up.
Let me see. I'm pulling it up because I remember you were really proud of the one that I'm talking about, and it was really good. And it
Are you talking about the Acolyte one? Or are you talking about
no,
or are you talking about the Robert Downey Jr. one? Like
yes,
yeah.
yes.
I do like that one too. That one is a good one too. Um, but yeah, it was a fun year. I mean, you weren't part of all 12 episodes, so thank you for Tyler for joining that one. Um,
Thanks, Tyler.
you might have to join a couple more since Carson might be a on and off type of guy next year.
I know. Oh, Jobs and working. Crazy.
So, but yeah. Anyway, thank you guys very much for the support this year. We still got a couple more videos to put out at the before the end of the year. Make sure to keep an eye out for my best movies of 2024 and worst movies of 2024. It's a very interesting list. There's a lot. I've seen a lot of movies. I need to go back and recount how many movies I've seen this year. It's a lot. So anyway, guys, thank you much for watching. Thank you guys for listening on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Guys, make sure to go follow us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts for our exclusive episode for our top 10 I don't know how to ever say that word. Most excited films for 2025. So anyway, guys, thank you much for watching. And like always, we'll see you guys in the next review. Bye,
Have
guys.
a good one.